Welcome. Let's settle for the details, starting with inflation, as inflation for the month of June declined by 0.3 percentage points from that of May, which was at 23.1%. Data from the Statistical Service shows a month-on-month increase in food inflation was by 5.9%. Here's a report.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, food inflation increased to 24.0%, while non-food inflation decreased to 21.6%. Fruits and nuts was the highest contributor to food inflation, with a month-on-month inflation of 12.6%, while vegetables, plantains, tubers and starchy fruits contributed 9.0% to the month-on-month food inflation. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim.
So consumer price index for the month of June 2024 was 226.4 relative to 184.4 that was recorded for the same time in June 2023. Consumer price index for June 2024 stood at 226.4 relative to 184.4. Based on these two indices, that is CPI for June 2023 and CPI for June 2024, rate of inflation for the month of June 2024 was 22.8%. As indicated, we have 15 subclasses within the food basket. And out of these 15 subclasses, there are 5 of them with significant weight that drives food inflation, of which we have cereals as one of them, of which we have ready food as one of them. We have fish also and live animals as the other 2. The only subclass that in this case you may want to relate it to seasonality are the items that fall under vegetables and tubers, because with the others that I talked about, that generality in terms of seasonality on crops do not influence them. So it will be important to go back and look at these different categorizations of the subclasses and identify the ones that would have effect of seasonality. But generally, it is right. Around this time, we see that prices of specific food items, but not all food items, we see that is going up. So if you want to relate that to what we are seeing in June 2024, as I indicated, out of the 5 subclasses, was vegetables and tubers that recorded the highest price change of the 5 subclasses.
According to the data, the Bono East region contributed 39.2% to food inflation, while the Upper East region contributed 29.9% to non-food inflation.
Joining me for a discussion on these numbers is General Secretary of the General Agriculture Workers Union, Edward Kare. Mr. Kare, thank you very much for joining us. First, what do you make of the latest inflation numbers for June?
It's just not the latest figures indeed are pointing to the unexpected direction or the normal direction. Under normal circumstances, around this time of the year, food inflation is supposed to be coming down. Food prices are supposed to be coming down. But unfortunately, it appears food inflation is still going up and food prices are also still going up.
So I believe you say this is a surprise to you.
Well, it's not too much a surprise. It's only that I'm disappointed in the sense that if you look at the agricultural landscape and what we have done before today, we don't expect better results than what we are seeing today. Because the question is, one will ask, what have we done to agriculture to warrant a positive change in production? We have virtually done nothing. Not only that, we have even gone beyond doing nothing to engaging in certain activities that undermine agricultural production. So you can see the combined effect of not actively doing something for agriculture and then also engaging in activities that undermine agriculture is the result that we have, and we shouldn't expect anything better.
Mr. Karawa, you are on the ground. Can you tell us what factors, are counting to this?
One, our agricultural production has been constrained by government's own inability to support farmers to grow. Because if you look at the Plan for Food and Health Phase 2, it has not yet been able to support farmers significantly for agricultural production. Then the other part has to do with galamsey, which is widely spread across the country, particularly the southern part of the country. And the effects of galamsey and the ongoing degradation of the soil, the lands and rivers and the rest, all combine to make agricultural production very, very difficult. So we should not expect anything better than what we are receiving. Probably we may, even at the close of the year, have a very bad total output for agriculture.
Should we then be worried about a spike in food prices and its impact on the larger inflation numbers going forward?
Well, if your output is low because you have not invested in agriculture, if your output will be constrained because you have engaged in activities that destroys the agricultural infrastructure like galamsey, then of course you should expect worse things to happen. So it's not even about this year. It's about going into the future. Because how to overturn the consequences of galamsey on agriculture in the short term is simply not available. It's simply not viable. It cannot be done in the short term. So if we even start today to halt the galamsey, its effect will linger on with us for years to come.
Right. I know you and together with other stakeholders have been proffering solutions and, policies on how to better grow our agriculture sector. But can you suggest anything in the medium to long term?
The medium to long term has to do with dealing with galamsey, and then 2, government investment in agriculture. And you sometimes would like to proffer solutions. And when you proffer those solutions, you also have to ask whether or not the one you are offering the solutions to is prepared to deal with them, those solutions, or even have the ability to deal with those solutions. For some of us, government has got the ability to deal with those solutions. Government has got the resources to support agriculture. But we are not seeing government having the willpower and readiness to actually support agriculture, And then, again, if you look at the galamsey, government can stop galamsey. The government will not touch it at all. In fact, government has refused in the past to deal with galamsey. And no one should think that in this short period to elections, government will do anything to stop galamsey. So you can see that from now on to the end of the year, in the medium term, we should not expect much from government in terms of solutions that we are offering to deal with the challenges within agriculture.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Karawa. Edward Karawa is General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. A little longer in the agric sector because Ghana has been selected to host the United Nations Timbuktu Pan-African Agriculture Hub. With a broad aim of raising about $1 billion as catalytic and commercial capital for young Africans, Timbuktu is also expected to give a further boost to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Already, engagements with stakeholders are underway in Accra to explore efficient implementation of the project. There's more in the following report.
Science, technology and innovation are the heart of the United Nations Development Programme's Timbuktu project. Upon its successful implementation, the project will be the largest initiative in the world to support Africa's innovation ecosystem. Already, stakeholder engagements are underway in Accra and other parts of the continent to ensure a smooth rollout of the project. The project will create 8 Pan-African hubs, with Ghana playing host to the Agritech Hub. Outgoing resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme Ghana, Angela Lusigi, is hopeful that government will create an enabling environment to ensure the smooth rollout of the project.
This is precisely why we have one of the pillars as some of the incentives. And this is why we also want to look at the coming up with the startup bill to be able to capture some of these things. But also it's critical that there is a role for the ministries as they're coming up with the incentives to take that into account. And because we're focusing on agri-tech, this is a particular instance where we can really, pinpoint this area and have that addressed immediately.
With its broad objective of providing both catalytic and commercial capital to Africa's youthful population, Timbuktu is expected to give further boost to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Ahuna Eziakonwa is Regional Bureau Director for the United Nations Development Programme in Africa.
The ambition really is to raise $1 billion, 350 million of which will be catalytic capital that we raise mostly from grants and other sources that would not require a return. So we're building that into de-risk the commercial capital. The businesses want returns, but they also don't want to take too high a risk. So if we can de-risk the environment with the catalytic funds, also including bringing technical capacity, building the expertise that fund managers and founders need, that would make it easier for the commercial capital to come in. And that will be we're targeting about 650 million of commercial capital leverage from the 350 million. But of course, the hope is that we will do a lot more over this 10-year horizon that we have chosen. These young people should continue to follow their passion. And, passion is driven by need, by experience. And what we want to see through Timbuktu is the impact aspect as well. So we want innovations that directly address development challenges, the SDGs that we want to achieve.
The United Nations Development Programme is hopeful that stakeholders will increase collaboration in the coming days to ensure the effective implementation of Timbuktu. Blessed Sugan's report for Joy News, Accra.
3, 2, 1. And the final one, 3, 2, 1.
Ghana may be losing out on the European market if necessary measures are not put in place to eliminate all forms of illegal fishing methods across the country. The country has been issued a first yellow card by the EU, which indicates that it lacks effective monitoring systems and legal regimes to sanitize the fishing industry. Senior lecturer at the Department of Marine and Fisheries Science at the University of Ghana, Dr. Angela Lamte, told journalists that efforts are being made to reverse the situation. She spoke after addressing stakeholders at the iWatch Africa meetup with coastal communities in Ghana.
The situation is born out of an investigation conducted by the iWatch Africa team, which indicates that the country's fishing industry has been flooded with large-scale vessels belonging to politically exposed persons. According to the report, 32% of companies analyzed in Ghana's fisheries sector were either owned or controlled by politically exposed persons, with over 80% showing connections to Chinese ownership interests. Activities of these vessels have been without legal regime, hence attracting the tag from the EU. Senior lecturer, Department of Marine and Fisheries Science at the University of Ghana, Dr. Angela Lamte explains.
A yellow card, it means that it's just like football. When a footballer engages in an infringement and you are given a yellow card, it is a warning. So it is a warning that if you don't check IUU fishing, if you don't curb all the illegalities, we will issue you a second yellow card, which is equivalent to a red card. So for now, we are able to still export our products to the European market. But in case we don't comply with the directive and ensure that IUU fishing is kept to the minimum or even to 0%, then they'll issue us a second year look at, which would mean that we can't export any of our fishery products to the European markets. And if we are not able to export any of our fishery products to the European Union, guess what? The foreign exchange that we get from the export wouldn't come. And then secondly, when you are tagged such a label that, oh, your products are not good, even when people or expatriates come from Europe into Ghana, they wouldn't want to eat our fish.
Still watching Business Live with me, Emma Davis. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the Joy Business Van. That's all for Business Live. I am Emma Davis, but for more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.